This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
He has time.
He's got him. Left side, Dobbs is there. Leaping grab. Touchdown. Touchdown.
And good morning and welcome to, just 10 this morning. Good morning, Nicholas. Happy Thursday, everyone. Lots of news yesterday in the league. And the Bears just keep on trucking. Who knew the Bears were going to be so active before free agency really began with bringing in new players? They brought in yet another player yesterday. Chicago Bears signed tight end Durham Smith away from Miami, who was the cap casualty there. So they were able to sign him before the free agent period because he was cut. So now they have two Notre Dame products in the tight end room. They've got Cole Kmet, of course, who can catch the ball really well, and now I got Durham Smith, who's more of a blocking tight end. So that gives them a good little combo in the backfield between Smith and Olsen. It's funny, we were just talking last night in House Hall Report about possibly the Bears drafting a tight end in the draft. Don't know if they do that now, but they've just signed another. And yet, there's even more news in the NFL yesterday. Kind of as expected, we kind of talked about it last week a little bit. Joey Bosa was cut from the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't say San Diego anymore. It only took me a few years. So will the Bears take a run at Bosa? So interesting idea there with now Bosa being a free agent, Mack a free agent. So what is San Diego? Yeah, just did it again. What is LA, the Chargers? What are they doing defensively? Because that's their 2 acres. They just lost both their edge rushers. So, of course, both were huge contracts on their book, and now they're taking some dead cap on Bosa. So, do the Bears take a run at them? Because we need an edge rusher. So far, the Bears have added a right guard, a left guard, a tight end. They haven't re-signed any players of note. They non-tendered Sanborn. They did bring back. Who was it now? They actually did re-sign one. They tendered that, so not signed yet. So we're starting to see some players get cut. Pretty interesting to see what some of these teams are going to do. And here comes Ken to the stage. Good morning, Ken.
Yeah, Doug was being a dickhead when I was taking him out.
They do that every so often.
Usually he's perfect when you take him out. He'll piss, hurry up and shit, and want to go right back in. Oh, today he had to sniff every freaking flake of snow that was on the ground.
That sounds like a dog's job. Did you hear what the Bears did yesterday?
Oh, which was it?
Yesterday, or actually this morning it was released. They're signing tight end Durham Smith away from the Miami Dolphins. He was a cap casualty. He's 29 years old, another product of Notre Dame. And he's more of a blocking tight end, a Kmet catching tight end. So the Bears now have two Notre Dame products in the tight end room under contract after they make the cut. Let me see how much we spent on him. I don't think they're not giving details on the money yet.
Hey, Joe. I just want to thank the Raiders for getting Max Crosby's restructure done before they trade him to us.
I hope you get food poisoning again.
Hey, right when you're back healthy to where you can start rolling again, I hope you tweak your knee.
The money, the financials on the signing yet for the Bears, but they're signing another tight end. So now we have two tight ends on the roster again. I think it's a good combo. Good morning, Philip. Komet will be more the receiver, Smith more the blocker. He can't catch, though. He was a mainstay in Miami, but he's known more as a blocking tight end. But that gives him a good two tight end set there in Chicago. And then with Joey Bosa being now a free agent after being released today by the LA Chargers. I'm not going to say San Diego Chargers again. LA Chargers released them. Now, their defense is going to be totally different this year because no Bosa, no Mac. Now, Bears fans are going to want to take a run at Bosa bigger than Mac, but I still don't know if that's in the plan.
Well, we're happy it's got flavor again.
Yeah, you must
See,
have been going.
see, this is what happens when you buy all natural peanut butter.
You went from the Jif to the natural, right? I wonder what Bosa's. That is kind of like Bosa. I mean, what's their cap hit going to be? Well, they saved $25.36 million on the cap by cutting him. So, man.
Ken only buys natural creamy but peanut butter. Ken the bearded Packer fan. His dog is spoiled.
The weird thing is that Joe keeps asking me, when am I going to buy more peanut butter?
Yeah. That was a good comeback.
Orlando's going to a question asked last night at Hallis Hall. I thought we answered that like 4 times, but no, I mean, yeah, Odunze should take a step up, and it's not that he has to fill Allen's shoes because he's not playing the slot, but now there's Lockett's out there. The Bears could sign Lockett in the slot. Well, yeah, Matt could be retained by the Chargers if they re-sign him. He's a free agent. But to Orlando's question, I mean, I think that Odunze played really well last year. They still need a slot receiver. Right now, it's Tyler Scott, and I don't think a lot of Bears fans are upset with Tyler Scott being the slot because a lot of Bears fans like Tyler Scott.
You know who's out there? You know who's out there that could play slot though? Brandon Cooks.
Well, and Lockett.
Lockett.
Wasn't Lockett more of an outside guy?
No, he's a slot guy.
Oh, okay.
He's a deep threat slot guy. The Bears didn't release Sanborn Phillip; they just didn't tender him. So now he's a free agent, not a restricted free agent. I mean, look at the thing with there are some really good options at slot that might bring Keenan's price tag down, where maybe the Bears would retain Keenan if they could get his price tag down from $11 million down to $7. 6 or 7. I think it's easier to retain Keenan because you can get Lockett for 6 or 7. So, there's options there for Chicago, but Tyler Scott is not a bad wide receiver 3 option, probably in most Bears fans' eyes. So, I hope that answers the question. I mean, yeah, but the problem that he had in and I think the boys will back me up on this, is Who else did you have in Detroit minus Raw? JMO was
Jamo.
crap. JMO was crap until last year, and his best play is the reversed end around. You know what I mean? I mean, he made some nice catches throughout the year. Don't get me wrong. He always a second I say, well, he didn't really do much. Oh, but what about this game where he made this great catch? Yeah, he had some moments, but consistently, Raw is still the only guy. So Ben has a better receiving room in Chicago than he had in Detroit. I mean, I could see him putting Rome in the slot. I could see him putting DJ in the slot, Tyler Scott in the slot. Maybe they go get a guy like Lockett or someone else. It doesn't have to be Keenan Allen. I don't think that's a massive concern in Chicago right now. I think they're addressing the bigger need, which was tight is the O-line. When they brought in a good blocking tight end, which strengthens that O-line as well. Now Bosa's free. We do need an edge. There's some great edge options out there. We talked about it last night. You've got Josh Sweat. You got Khalil Mack. You got Joey Bosa now. You've got Chase Young. There's some good veteran.
I would stay away from Bosa. Bosa's only played 27 games in the last 3 seasons. Number one, and 14 of those games were last season. So he's had quite the injury streak, and he's going to want a lot of money. And the rumor is that he wants to go to San Francisco to play with his brother.
Yeah, I mean, with Bosa or any of these older guys, it's always like money versus injury risk. I agree with you, Joe. But there are going to be Bears fans who, I mean, look, we should at least kick the tires. I mean, Broski nails it, right? He's missed 23 games in 3 seasons. There will be fans who want to kick the tires just because he's a Bosa.
Yeah.
And I don't mind kicking the tires, and if the price is right, maybe you take a flyer on it.
I'd kick the tires on Chase Young before I would kick the tires on Bosa, because even if Chase Young gets hurt, he's only going to cost you $7 to $10 million for the year, and he can get you 8 sacks.
That's what we thought. We looked him up last night. His contract has jumped. They're saying that his market value is like $17 million. Josh Sweat, $18 million.
There ain't no way he's going to see that type of contract.
Look, that Woody and I were both like, "Are you joking? Are you kidding me?" But, I mean, fellas, let's be real. Spotrac has been pretty. They're pretty accurate more times than not.
Yeah, I was going to say we also seen a bit last year about them being quite a ways off too.
But where's Jadeveon Clowney? Where is Clowney? I said, where is Jadeveon Clowney? Like, usually at this time of year, he's a free agent every single season. And
not this year. But I mean,
where is he playing right now? I don't even know.
Spotrac, when they were off last year, they were usually off because someone overpaid, right? They were, but they're. I mean, the market right now. That's where they have Chase Young. I mean, yeah, if he could go to San Fran, I get the idea of playing with his brother. But I mean, he's worth kicking the tires to see what the cost would be. I'd rather Chase Young is the cheapest or the youngest of all of these guys that we're talking about by a good 4 years. He has the ACL issue, kind of like Clowney did in his career. But he could be really good, or he could be an injury issue. He was healthy all last year. He run up 7 sacks, only 1 less sack than we compared him and Josh Sweat, who I'm high on Josh Sweat. And the numbers are virtually identical between the two. So that's why I get why Spotrac is leveraged him at a higher price now. I mean, the sack difference is 1. However, Sweat had no forced fumbles. Young did. They both had the same amount of pressure. I mean, it was very interesting comparing them side by side yesterday, and you realize, okay, then if I'm going to spend the money, even if Spotrac has him at $1 million less per season than Sweat, then I definitely sign him, because not only is he $1 million cheaper, the numbers are virtually identical. And then the consistency with of having played with our Sweat with Montez Sweat. I don't know if you put a price tag on it.
Yeah, and then for the Packers,
That's a sweaty ass defensive line.
personally, I'd want to either stay put and draft a corner, or say screw it and go for the trade for T. Higgins if that's possible.
So last night I was doing a mock draft simulator, and actually, the Raiders, I ended up 2 drafts in a row trading with the Packers. The Packers traded all the way up to 6, and they were the ones who offered it. They traded all the way up to 6 to get Tet McMillan. And the deal wasn't that bad, actually, for them. I mean, they gave up, it was a pick swap, so 6 for 23. And then it was their second rounder, which was like 54 or 57. And then it was their third rounder, 87. And then it was next year's second and third. And I mean, they didn't give up any additional firsts. They got up, they got their guy.
Did you get Nick that deal? Because Nick saying he's a free agent in Detroit.
Since I traded down to 23, I ended up picking up Genty. Genty fell to 23, so I got Genty at 23, and then I got Jackson Dart with my original second round pick at 37, and then I got Trevion Henderson with the Packers' second round pick. So I ended up with Genty and Trevion Henderson.
Who did the Packers take?
I don't know who they took in the second round, but I know that they took Tet McMillan. They moved up for Tet McMillan. So
if you went 23 to 6, I'm sorry, you're giving up a first rounder the next year.
They didn't to me. I took the picks because they gave me their second, their third this year. They gave me their second, their third next year.
Joe, I get it, but that's where I have a problem with these simulators because, reality. Have you ever seen anyone go from outside the top 15 to within the top 10 and not give up a first round pick for the next year? I mean, come on, there's reality here, right? Reality says if you're going from the 20s to number 6,
if you package all those other picks together, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody would bite on something like that. If you're looking to move back and collect picks, and that's the offer you're getting, you could do a hell of a lot worse than 2 seconds and 2/3.
Oh no, I get it. I get the logic there, Ken. But I'm just like for these simulators. I mean, let's go to the reality though. In reality, it never happens. It's like if you're going from the 23 to 6, dude, you're giving up next year's first round pick as part of that package, unless. And we haven't really even seen this unless you're giving up a stud player that'd be worthy of next year's first round selection. And no, it's not Jair Alexander, but I mean, you'd have to give the Raiders obviously pick swap this year, and then you got to be giving them either next year's first rounder or I don't know some player of value that they would have. That, yeah, that's worthy of not taking a first rounder off your hands next year. I mean, that's my problem with the simulator. Is I get it, it's AI, it's algorithm that but and then in A-Dub, I agree with you. I don't see the Packers doing that either, unless Goody just wakes up one morning with a wild hair up his ass and let me just shock the football world and do something that's so out of my character.
It goes against what you would normally expect from Green Bay. But at the same time, it's like people are capable of change, maybe Goody is like, dude, we're one really good wide receiver away from being a really, really good team. And so why not take the chance? While we still have these guys on rookie contracts, while we still have, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he seems like the guy to buck a trend too. Because he's already done that a couple of times in Green Bay. So it would shock me.
Would you have to jump to 6 when there's so many good wide receivers out there in free agency right now anyway? Look at Keenan Allen would be great for Green Bay. Lockett would be great for Green Bay. DK Metcalf isn't great for anyone right now because you got to give up trade capital when there's some good wide receivers that are highly, not just serviceable, but highly serviceable in the free agent market. I mean, there are options out there where you don't have to sell the farm to move from 23 to 6 for a wide receiver in the draft. You could probably move to 15 and get a starting wide receiver. So I mean
But all of those guys cost more money than your first round pick would cost.
But no,
Even Lockett's going to cost you 13 to 15 million.
The indictment is on that simulator because they wouldn't even have to move the 6 to do that. They could go to 15 and do that, or even 13, or they don't have to give up as much. I mean, that's my problem with these draft simulators is the AI that does it does not live within reality.
These draft simulators are going off of pretty much the trade value of what these picks are. And now that you're seeing more and more analytics make their way into football, I would not be shocked if we start to see some of these trades that don't make sense in like the old football type of knowledge. But when you get it where, hey, okay, it works out to being more value than a first round pick. Okay, we'll take that.
I mean, I agree with A-Dub. Like if you like with the Bears, if you fill your needs versus free agency, I can see you doing something silly with your first round pick. I can see the Bears doing something silly too. Like if the Bears fill their needs, Broski doesn't like this. I don't like it. But if the Bears fill their needs, then maybe they swap a deal for Myles Garrett, right? I mean, crazy crap happens if you fill your needs in free agency. But Ken, I mean, look at the trades that we already have had, right? Look at some of the players that are considered really good players, and they're going for 5th rounders, 4th rounders.
Mm-hmm.
But with the draft, I mean, we haven't seen what you're talking about happen with the draft pick. Someone going from 23 to 6 and not give up a first rounder the next year. We just haven't seen it. Could it happen? I'm not saying it couldn't, but the odds are not in your favor, historically speaking.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it hasn't happened either because I don't remember every single draft trade that, it might have happened and we just didn't see it or pay attention to it.
And
I would just add that even though there are a lot of receivers in this draft, there's only one receiver in this entire draft that's considered a first round worthy talent, and that's Tet McMillan. Like this is a deep receiver draft when you get to like the number 2 guys, like the second and third round guys. Then there's a lot of guys, but in the first round, like the consensus is there's only one wide receiver going in the first round this year, and that's Tet McMillan. So
on the top 3, and the top wide receiver wasn't in that top.
What's that?
Right? The top rookie wide receiver was not one of the top 3 last year.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the consensus among analysts, for whatever it's worth, is that Tet McMillan is the only first round receiver that is going to go this year.
But it's funny because I guess maybe you are getting to an age where Gronk is going to be your, hey Gronk, who should I draft?
If a GM is asking an AI freaking thing, who should they draft? That son of a bitch should have been fired a month ago.
Let's try something here. Hold on. This might be funny. Hold on. Let's see if this works. Oh, Jesus, Brock. Don't ask me a bunch of questions. I want to ask you a question. Okay, hold on. Hey, Grok, who should the Chicago Bears pick with the number 10 pick in the NFL draft this year?
Because they don't have real-time info, I can't predict this year's draft perfectly. The Bears could use some muscle on the offensive line or a speedy wide receiver to boost their attack. A solid pick at number 10 might be a top-tier tackle like Joe Alt from Notre Dame.
It's last year.
Joe Alt was last year. Okay,
That's awesome.
Let's do it this way. Who should the Bears pick at number 10 in the 2025 NFL draft?
Okay. Since I don't have real-time info or a crystal ball for 2025, I can't predict who's getting picked at number 10 in the NFL draft. But if you're looking for some fun speculation, tell me which team you think might land that spot, and we can chat about who they might go for based on their usual needs. What do you think?
I just told.
It's going to say Chicago draft a quarterback. And speaking of that, John Dorn with perfect timing.
Wow. Gronk is not being useful this morning. Maybe they should replace Gronk with John Dorn.
There's also some speculation that Jackson Dart is going to climb into the first round
I've been hearing a lot
based on his combine performance.
Yeah, he could. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because every year there's a quarterback or receiver or someone who jumps up based off a combine. And look at you guys know I have a problem with that. I mean, look at Richardson. Richardson's a perfect example of a guy who jumped up in the draft significantly based off combine performance, and he has not panned out for where he was picked. Combine is easy because you're throwing with no pressure. You're throwing, everything is clean, controlled. Yeah, of course you look good. You can look really, really good if you're athletic, and these guys are athletic. But when you start putting them in where they got to read defenses, or they're getting hit, or they're getting rushed, it's a whole different story. Game tape. That's why game tape is so much better. That's why, in a weird way, I don't have a problem with the quarterbacks not throwing in the combine. I think throwing the combine actually inflates their value versus the reality of the game tape from when they played. Like, so Caleb and Jaden, let's say, not throwing last year in the combine wasn't a bad thing. You have great game tape on them, and you can judge them on how they're reading the defenses in college, how they're dealing with pressure in college, a lot better than you can them sit in a clean field with no pressure, just being able to throw up beautiful balls all day, and then people like, oh my God, they look so great. Well, yeah. I mean, I could throw Ken out there, and he'll look like an all-pro quarterback, but he doesn't have to move. But the second Ken has to move with that back of his, guess what? Totally different story. And that's the story of the combine with quarterbacks. They look great at the combine, but then when you put them in the pocket in a game, when you got Myles Garrett or Max Crosby or Montez Sweat barreling down him, or Hutchinson, it's a whole totally different ball game. That's why the game tape on these quarterbacks coming in the draft, I think, is so much more important than all these skills tests. The skills tests work out well with receivers, tight ends, linemen to a degree, but I think the quarterbacks, like, honestly, I think quarterbacks moving up, good morning, Cam, moving up in the draft because of combine is dangerous. When was the last time you saw a quarterback who got that movement from the combine and got drafted sooner to an NFL team where that quarterback made it past their rookie contract?
Maybe CJ Stroud, but I don't think he was like.
He was a top two guy.
Like thought low of, yeah, but he definitely, like, his combine definitely pushed him over the top to make him, you know.
He was going to go in the top two regardless. I think it's like he's one of those guys who actually lived up to the hype a little bit, where the arm, you know, the clean talent matched the dirty talent, if you will. But I mean, he was already a top two guy.
Yeah, he was kind of a surprise on how good he became, because I didn't really think he was that great at Ohio State. You know what I mean? He was, he was good enough, but like, come on, he's on Ohio State, which has some of the best recruits in the country. So, but he came in and he changed around the whole Texans organization, which is really impressive. Despite on Texans having good draft picks and a better front office and a capable coach now. But
how about Bo Nix? Because Bo Nix was projected to be like a second round pick, and all of a sudden, after the combine, like when the draft comes, he gets picked like number 12 to the Broncos.
Bo Nix, Orlando said Mahomes, but Mahomes was projected to go in the first round to begin with.
Mahomes, when he was coming out, I do remember there was a lot of where the hell is he going to go with it?
Yeah.
Because he was kind of all over the board with it.
And I think, though, Joe has the best argument is Bo Nix right now. And Bo Nix, let's see what happens if he makes it to that second contract. It's hard to say after one season. I hate judging any rookie after one season, say, oh my God, bust or not. Because look at there's 3 more seasons on this rookie contract before it's either you're going to get an extension or we're not going to offer you the 5th year option. A lot of these guys don't make the 5th year option. I mean, a lot of first rounders don't. Dude, how many guys got picked up on 5th year options this year? Only a handful, right? So the first round is crapshoot to begin with, and now you take a guy who you've been tracking for 2 years in college. You're like, this guy's a solid second rounder, but he has a nice day in Indianapolis on a clean field in perfectly temperature controlled environment. Oh, well, now he's a mid first rounder. Well, wait a minute. You've been saying he's a second rounder for 2 years because of gameplay, but now because he looks good on some drills, he's a first rounder.
What you're missing too is they might not even evaluate him as a first rounder. They might still evaluate him as a second, but they want to have that 5th year option for the quarterback. So that's why you're seeing these guys get bumped way up.
Mm-hmm.
What was good about Bo Nix too is he's 70 years old. I mean, in the NFL, he stayed a long time in college. As a what, a 6-year senior, and that gives him kind of an advantage over the younger kids that come in as a quarterback because your body's more grown, right? And you're more of a veteran, even though you didn't step on an NFL field. You're more of a vet as far as a player wise,
And Bo Nix walked into a situation where he had a really good head coach who had a really good offensive scheme, and their scheme fit Bo Nix. I mean, sometimes you get lucky with a quarterback where your quarterback that you draft, you drafted right. You drafted the quarterback that fits your scheme, and it's a perfect union. Sometimes teams will draft a guy, he doesn't fit what they want to do. Like Justin Fields didn't really fit what the Bears wanted to do in total. Yeah, he could run the ball and he could generate great plays, but the Bears wanted to get more vertical, and Justin Fields didn't fit that mold at that moment in time. It's not a knock on Fields. It's just he didn't fit what the Bears needed him to be. And you see that a lot with quarterbacks. I mean, look at Darnold last year is another great example. He fit that team, and that team fit him. It was a good match. Why do you think Trubisky isn't trying to leave Buffalo? He fits Buffalo. Buffalo fits him. It's a great reciprocal relationship for both of them. So they're both being smart about it. But teams sometimes get, look at this shiny toy that looks so awesome, and they go pick up that shiny toy and then realize that, okay, I have a Corvette collection, and I just picked up a Lamborghini that doesn't fit my collection of Corvettes. Something's not right here. And some teams will try to sell off the Corvette to get a bunch of Lamborghinis. And some teams say, nope, I'm going to just buy conversion kits for my vet and fake the funk on the nasty dunk. And it doesn't work. But Green Bay, they're another great example. Look what they did with Jordan Love. He fits their style of football. They're able to groom him for a couple years so that when he does get to start, right, it looks seamless to them because their quarterback fit the system fit the quarterback. And if Jordan Love didn't fit the system when they first drafted him, they had 3 years to make him fit, and they did. But when you draft a guy like Richardson in Indianapolis, he doesn't fit your system. Your team that you built doesn't fit. But you're going to move up in the draft because he had a good day at the combine. You look at Stroud, he fit. Yeah, he was very shiny. Stroud fit what they were doing in Texas. It was just another good marriage. It was the right team picking the right quarterback at the right time. Yeah, I agree with you, Philip.
Mm-hmm. And then he's got another good one.
Yep.
That these either the Senior Bowl or the East-West Shrine game there, it goes to show at least how they compete with their peers.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you guys something like this. Does it worry you guys more and more players are skipping the combine and
No.
No? Not at all?
Because the argument I just made with the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think with the receivers last year, what Harrison didn't participate, Neighbors didn't participate. You know, or was it Rome that did? No, Rome did participate. Bears already knew they were going to take Rome anyway. But I mean, I think for the top tier guys, it doesn't because you know they're good because you have 2 years, usually at least 2 years of good game tape on them, and you know these kids are going to be good. Where the combine makes its impact is a guy like Richardson who is going to be a second round guy who basically has a shiny moment and makes them look good. So I guess on the other hand, though, the counter to my argument is because these guys don't throw, it makes guys like Richardson look better than what they really are. Because Richardson wasn't.
Go ahead.
You know, I mean, because some of them aren't better, but when you're the best guy out there that day, because the top 3 guys didn't decide not to, you know, perform at the combine, it inflates them, so it gives teams a false read on these guys. Well, he was the best wide receiver out there. Well, yeah, the top 3 receivers didn't participate, but he was the best guy out there. Do you see how shiny he looked? Look how flawless he looked. We're going to bump him up. But is it justified? I still don't think so.
Like, I think the counter to that as well is there's a big difference between the NFL level and the college level. You know what I mean? The collegiate level, you know what I mean? You can basically run trick plays all day in the collegiate level. You can't do that in the NFL.
No.
You know, like you can't run up a score to 45 like you do in college. You know, most NFL games they cap out at 30. You know, I think what it is, I think the combine is really necessary because you want to evaluate the talent level because what scouts look at when these players do the combine is they don't go, wow, you know, he can run this fast, or they want to see technique. They want to see, you know, if they're capable of fitting a style of offense that they're running or a style of defense that they're running. They look at the intangibles. They don't just look at, oh, wow, on paper, oh, this guy just ran this fast. Oh, you know, let's select him. No, they look at
game tape, so you knew that Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams had that last year. I mean, what are they going to do at the combine that's going to raise their stock, right? And Orlando says if you're top 5, you're really hurting yourself by going. And he's not wrong either. I mean, but like, look at Caleb was what we thought Caleb would be. Jaden's what we thought he would be. They're both really good quarterbacks in this league right now, or had good rookie campaigns. I mean, you have 2 years of game tape. You can see their technical faults and what they're not doing well and what they are. Just because they ran a passing drill at the combine, I don't think that necessarily achieves what you're looking for. I think the game tape and the Senior Bowl and stuff like that does more of that for a team. I mean, yeah. I mean, because look at Isaac. I'm sure I could run you out there for these skills, right? And you might perform really well. But on the field, maybe you're a step too slow. Maybe the pressure changes you when you got a corner draped over you as a receiver. Like, those are the things that you can't get to combine. Everything is clean. It's controlled. It's perfect everything.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if you just go by tape, you might select the wrong quarterback. You know what I mean? If you go like, oh, you know, his tape were great. You know, he did this on the collegiate level. Like for Sam Darnold, for instance. So you got picked number 3 overall on the Jets because, you know, Sam Darnold did so good on USC. You know what I mean? I think the tape doesn't tell at all. You know what I mean? And if more teams are just going to go by tape, like you could ask Joe that's been watching college this past season, the quarterback list is really not that good right now. You know what I mean? Besides maybe Cam Ward, you know, possibly Shador, but that's unknown. But Shador has played tougher teams and he's failed a lot in playing those tougher teams. So this quarterback class is pretty thin and pretty weak. And like with some quarterbacks that are just skipping the combine and just, you know, maybe they got phone calls like you said, and they have a desired team that probably is going to select them with their pick. But
there's a flip side to that coin too, Isaac, that like there's a lot of doubt about Shador because, and they use that argument that, you know, well, he struggled against, you know, good teams in college, but like outside of Hunter, like who else did he have? Their offensive line was terrible. They had no real defense. They had like Colorado was held together by Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders. Like, so like that could actually be doing Shador a disservice, like saying, well, he couldn't beat a Notre Dame or a team that was like a top 10 team, right? He couldn't beat that team. Well, it's like, what quarterback do you know that can beat a team like that by himself or with one wide receiver? And then Hunter got injured, remember? So it's like, it can work both ways. And I'm not saying it always does, like, because, you know, I agree tape is important, but I also agree with what you're saying that tape shouldn't be everything because tape can lie. You look at a guy, like look at a guy who plays in, let's say, the Mountain West Conference, right? You got a guy like Genty that has like almost 3,000 rushing yards. He's got like 2,600 rushing yards, but he's playing Fresno State. Is he going to put up 200 yards against Ohio State? I doubt it, right?
Let's take this to another step, though, because doing drills at the combine doesn't change that, though, Joe. It doesn't. But here's what they do. Here's the thing, though. These guys may not perform by doing the drills. They still take the team meeting, right? They go talk to the team still, so they're still there. They're just not. He's just not going to run or he's not going to throw the ball. Fine, we've got enough tape on that. I think the thing that's the most important is the interviews. They get to pick the brain of these young men, and then they do their 30-30s, right? They go do their team visits, and they pick their brains again, and then they may run a few drills with that player at their place. And I think that does more of a service to those players and teams than just plain Jane drills in a perfect condition in Indianapolis with 1,000 cameras and Rich Eisen talking about his run. I mean, to me, the combine, it's a good NFL spectacle. It's a good place because all the GMs and everyone's there and a lot of business gets done. But, like, do I really need to see Shedeur Sanders run drills? No. I've got tape on him. And if I want to know how he feels about, okay, if you see this, what do you change to? If you see that, let me show you some tape. What do you see here, right? What are you changing the play to? I think teams get more out of that in their discussion time with these players than they do by watching him throw a perfectly laid out ball with no pressure on him or the receiver. Yeah, Richardson threw a beautiful ball at this combine. It was gorgeous, can't lie. But there's zero pressure. It's like it's zero G. There's there's.
The thing is, you said something though into that sentence is a lot of people are watching, like a lot of different teams, a lot of different scouts, a lot of it. You never know. A team could be out there watching your combine and seeing your skills out there and might, move up in the draft to try to select you. You know what I mean? And it might be the team that you're looking for,
They do face off with these super clean, no pressure performances. Look, it's good for the guys who maybe are a smaller school and might get overlooked, and there isn't much tape on it. That the combine serves that purpose. But for these bigger guys who play in these bigger conferences, SEC, Big Ten, Pac-West, whatever, where there's a ton of game tape on them. Okay, but you got these guys who play for some smaller schools or from some schools in bigger conferences where they don't get much, like Wisconsin doesn't get a lot of coverage outside of the Big Ten. Let's face it, there's not maybe a lot of tape on some of these guys from Wisconsin or from U of I. Well, U of I gets some good tape, but if you're not Penn State in the Big Ten, they get most of the tape. So yeah, you do find some diamonds maybe that way from guys that's how the Bears picked Jack Sanborn out as being an undrafted free agent rookie, right? That's how some of these guys get found is because these staff dig into the tape, and if they put up a good combine, okay. I think sometimes the combine, these skills tests, if you will, just do more to say, okay, they are what we thought they were, or wait, maybe he has a little more speed than we thought, or maybe the arm is a little bit stronger than we thought. But that can be achieved by team workouts anyway. The combine is a great spectacle for the NFL to make money. It's a great excuse for all the GMs and coaches to be in one place and make some deals and crosstalk. It still has its purpose, but for some of these top-end players, it doesn't really, and then and going back to the original point, it gets teams caught up like with a guy like Richardson, who was projected to be a second-round talent, probably should have been drafted in the second round, but because he threw such a pretty 45-yard spiral in perfect condition, oh my God, we're going to go jump up and get him in the mid-first round now. How'd that work out for you, Indianapolis?
See, the only reason we're sitting here arguing about if the combine, still makes sense or not is because we don't have Al Davis watching the 40 deciding who he's going to draft anymore.
What's funny? It's probably like these.
Who cares what my 40 time is? I'm old and I'm retired, dude. Go back, go hunt some deer or something.
It's funny. Like all these, players that came before that, watching all these players skipping the combines. Like, fuck, I didn't even have to do the combine. Look at all these kids, these skipping out. You know what I mean? Like, why? There's a lot of game tape on me.
I think for your top end guys,
the biggest thing is the Wonderlic test. Really, that's the biggest argument for the combine that you can make is that a lot of players take the Wonderlic test at the combine, and the Wonderlic test is how they measure your IQ, your football IQ, things like that, like how you're processing.
Usually, Joe, I am so right there with you. But after what happened with C.J. Stroud in the Wonderlic, I don't put much faith in that test anymore. Because he had supposedly got one of the lowest scores, and he was damn good.
But
there's always an outlier, Ken. Like no test is perfect. I mean, there's the Stanford Binet IQ test, right? There's probably a guy out there that scored 135 or 140 on that IQ test, and he eats crayons. You know what I mean? Like,
look, Joe just explained John Dorn. Right? I mean, John's a guy, but some days you feel like he eats crayons, like he's a Marine. But I mean, look, they still. That's the thing, though. These guys, if they don't throw at the combine, the reason for the combine is right. Ken, the Wonderlic test is still there, right? For Joe, the Wonderlic is still there. They still do the meetings with the team. Like Caleb did throw last year. He met with the Bears. He met with other teams. He did his press junket, right? So did Marvin Harrison Jr., so did Malik Neighbors. They're still doing those other things. They're just like, I don't need to show you that I can throw a deep ball with no pressure on me. You've already seen me do it in game. Of course I can do it in perfect condition. So it still has its use. But I think when guys like, and I go back to Richardson because he's just the most easiest recent version of why you can't take a performance on the skills test and move a guy up your draft board based off that when you have years of tape on this guy and you've done tons of research on him, and then you take all that research and say, but he threw such a beautiful ball in perfect conditions, throw it away. You've done yourself a disservice. Why'd you do all that research? Oh, but at the combine, he ran these tests, the skills test, so beautifully. You just did 2 years of research and you're throwing it away because he did the skills test on he had a one good day in perfect condition. I mean, if that were the case, we could all look at Isaac could be a millionaire because I'm sure he had one really great day at the IRS where he all of a sudden saved the IRS hundreds of millions of dollars, and I want my new contract right now. But they're like, no, dude, you got to work for a year and then we'll give you your annual review and steer you sit. The NFL is the only place where you can get a massive pay raise based off one day.
Yeah. But I think, like I said, the scouts look into more things, more intangibles than we do, like the average fan. Like, we can watch the combine and be like, oh, this guy's doing great. This guy's doing this. But scouts are looking at something different. They're looking about, technique, and, they're looking about conditioning. They're looking about, things that jump off the chart. You know what I mean? Like, they're not looking at one particular thing. And then, you see in the combine all the time, one player can have a good day and the next day can be absolute shit. Like, look at Jalen Monroe, this combine. One game day, one combine day, he was looking pretty good. Second day, he looked like absolute garbage. It was getting picked off and, passes being dropped. Then the third day, he came back and had a strong combine. So I think, especially the quarterbacks that are coming in this class, I think they need the combine because there's nobody that jumps off the chart right now that's saying, hey, this is going to be a solid quarterback in the NFL. Like possibly Cam Ward, but even he's shaky.
It serves a purpose. I really like this comment from Phil because I can relate to this, right? Dude, there's soldiers in the Army who, when you're in cantonment in the rear, I mean, they are the best soldier you'll ever have in your unit. Their time on task. They're fire and forget soldiers. You say, hey, go do the task. You don't have to quit. It's done. You bring them to combat, and the first ones that fall apart. And so this hits home for us military folks. We make this here because, yeah, the combines cantonment, they look great. Then you put them in the battlefield, and like Richardson was, and they fall apart. And some of your shit soldiers, who are your worst soldiers in cantonment, you get them to the combat, the battlefield, they're the best soldiers in your unit. But when you get them back home, they're POS. But you get them out in combat, and you would take them anywhere with you and bet your life on them. But in cantonment, you wouldn't bet a nickel that they'd make formation on time. You know what I mean? So the combine to me is a mixed bag, and I don't think it necessarily hurts some of these guys that. Okay, John. Whatever. John just shows the stupidity day in and day out, so I'm happy with it. But I mean, Caleb is a great example. He didn't need a day because the Bears already knew they were going to select him. They already knew, what they were getting. The Commanders knew what they were getting in Jaden Daniels. You didn't need to see these guys sit with, just sit on the field and throw 45-yard bombs on the field. And they got their workout days, and they got their meetings, and they got their Wonderlic tests, and they already knew what their conditioning was. I mean, yeah. That's the Marine Corps, Cam, but even John couldn't get into that. But he does like to eat crayons.
Yeah, not only are you pissing off Dorn, you're pissing off a whole lot of Marines.
The Marine Corps, look at the inter-service rivalry. We know. Look, I have a former nephew who's a Marine. I send him crayons every November 10th, okay, for his birthday. Because a real Marine only has one birthday, November 10th. That is their birthday. But no, I mean, there's some intrinsic value there. But I mean, like I said, this whole thing started because you look at Richardson and guys who jump up in the draft who were probably third or second round picks, all of a sudden they're first round picks because of a good combine. And it's like you just took all your research on that player and threw it away. Conversely, though, if you're a guy like if you're Isaac and you play for Orlando,
for Pokai,
you play for you play for like a small college. I mean, that's the day you can let teams see, hey, look, I have these skills too. And oh, by the way, Joe is the same size as me. We're the same. Our stats physically are the same. Yeah, he played for LSU. I played for no-name college U. Right? But guess what? I can do the skills just as good as he can, and that's where it helps these guys from the smaller schools, right? Where there isn't tape. So I see some value there, but does it hurt the NFL or these players that you're a big name cat that you don't participate? No. I don't think it hurts the NFL. I don't think it hurts that player. These guys who skip out already know they're going top 10 anyways. It doesn't hurt them. I think where you get in the trouble is when guys move up the draft board from the second round to mid-first round, and that's where teams get themselves in trouble. But then, now you get a lot of guys, the most of the movement comes, well, I think Isaac might be a sixth rounder. And then he comes out and he has the combine, and you start to see, well, wait a minute, this guy, we don't have much tape on him. He's got a lot of good skills. Now he becomes a third rounder. He becomes a fourth rounder. That's where that movement happens more. The third, the first round, the second, first round jumps, those big jumps like that, like Richardson was, I think are more few and far between. I think the jumps really happen in those mid to late rounds.
I think some players could possibly be afraid to do some of these combines because it could hurt their stock. You know what I mean? Like there's a big difference from where you're picked at money wise. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we all seen that, we all see the charts that come out or the news that comes out about it. So I think some players are like, hey, let them go off my tape and let me get paid, based off what I done on the collegiate level. But like I said before, NFL is a whole new ball game. I mean, they're playing against grown ass men that are hungry and that want that paycheck. You know what I mean? There's some undrafted players that are have left college and are in the NFL level and don't have a home yet, and they want to prove themselves. So, it's just a whole new beast when it comes to the NFL. And these
I think
players,
also it's not just a quarterback issue. Like
Mhm.
with guys jumping up the board, like there's been plenty of guys that are like defensive linemen that go in there, they throw 35 reps up on the bench, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy's a first round talent. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
Favorite wide receiver.
he's got 34-inch arms and he did 35 on the bench. Like, but the guy can't shed blocks, or he can't do this, or he can't do that. Like
Wide receiver.
there was a couple of those just last year, guys that were like workout warriors, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
You even get that with wide receiver. Oh, look how fast this guy is! Wow! And then he gets drafted, and the guy can't. And he's like, the dude's never open. He can never break coverage, right? The guy can't break coverage, but he's like, the dude was the fastest guy at the combine. Why can't he ever get open? Because he can't run routes.
Ross was the number one guy for that from the Bengals. He was one of the fastest. He had one of the fastest 40 times of all time, and the dude can't catch a football worth his life depended on it. And
But the problem is, you had guys like Willie Galt, and here's the problem: Willie Galt's the issue. You want to know why? Willie Galt was a world-class sprinter, right? And he comes in the NFL as a world-class sprinter in a league where in the offseason he did nothing but drink beer and didn't do anything. And here's Willie Galt, a track athlete who ran all year. He smoked everyone. Oh, well, look, Willie Galt and McMahon could just throw a long ball and sit there and, yeah, Willie will catch it. And Willie would catch it because he was so freaking fast. And that stuck in the NFL mind. Oh, really fast means always open. No, not the league today, because guess what? These corners have caught up speed-wise to these receivers, and they work out year long now. The NFL changed with some of that mindset that fans and GMs have. Oh, the guy is really fast. The kid at San Francisco, the kid who was really fast last year, he went to where? San Francisco, right? What did he do this year?
Wait, no, that was Xavier Worthy, and he went to Kansas
Yeah,
City.
he went to the Chiefs, and he had a pretty decent rookie season.
Rookie
yeah,
year.
he had a really good.
But,
He should
but
have
on the
got the
flip
ball.
side,
a lot.
on the flip side of that Willie Galt argument, you have a guy like James Jett, who had possibly the greatest name of football a wide receiver ever had. Right? He was a world class sprinter too, and he would smoke people on the field. But guess what? As soon as the ball got to him, he would drop it.
Yep. Tyreek Hill is a good one-off. I mean, look at every example we throw up. There's always the exception to the rule, right? Tyreek Hill is one of those rare exceptions, right? But he also runs a route. He's a good route runner. He's not just speed.
Yeah.
He's a speed guy who understands his route tree. There are some of these really fast receivers who, yeah, they're really fast. They put up a great combine speed. Like, wow, this guy's a fast receiver. He's going to be open. And then they get him in, and the guy can't run a route.
Mhm.
You leave MVS out of this.
Yeah, or they're like, or wow, they're a big bodied prototypical receiver. And they
Well,
can't,
you can't leave MVS out of this. He said he made Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes.
yeah.
Well, he did make it so they could both win MVPs. Without him, they never would have got there.
Right?
Yeah. Great to know he was playing with Rodgers years ago too, before he even got into college.
Yeah,
Cam, I'd say yes and no, because the combine does, show where players are, like, health wise, talent wise, and separates kind of the men from the boys. Like, combines are actually very important to the NFL. You want to measure a player there. Yeah, sometimes you reach on a player, but a lot of these players that scouts actually look at and basically digest on their ability, basically end up good players in the NFL.
But you know what? Like, why not change it up a little bit? Oh shit, we're out of time, guys. Let's talk about this tomorrow. We are out of time. This is a good conversation. Thank you, everyone, who made the comments today. Today is Thursday, so we don't have another show this evening. Tomorrow morning we'll be back, and don't forget the Packer boys will be on tomorrow night as well. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, everyone in the comments, for being here today. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Ken and Ken in the morning. If you're on X, move over to hold on, let me finish my brain part. Move over to Nicholas's space. He's got a space starting in 15 minutes on X. Make sure you go there. We'll be talking probably some more football and Excellent stuff. Everyone else, have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Go back, go.
Yeah, you know what? I got something for you, Isaac.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.